Finished training for the day? Time to fight post-workout fatigue with Core Power Protein Shakes. They're packed with 26 grams of high-quality protein to build muscle and electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to help your body replenish, rebuild, and repair post-workout so you can power on to the next one. Champion your recovery with Core Power. Visit corepower.com to learn more.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
This is A Bit of an Animal.
Hello and welcome back to A Bit of an Animal, the South African Rugby Union focused podcast here on Global Gainlines. There's a lot to talk about, so let's get stuck in. We've got the A team back. Jean is back from Mauritius, so everybody is A for away. We've also got a special guest this week. We've got Angus Opperman from the rugby website I use most often, Rugby 365. Angus, tell our audience about yourself.
Yo, put him on the spot. Hey, good evening, viewers. I'm a Rugby 365 journalist. I'm a big rugby fan myself. Played a little bit for my local club, and I'm just passionate about life, about sport, and having a good time. And that's about it, to be honest.
Great to have you on. I always appreciate the content on the website, and obviously I've known Jan de Koning for a while now. Always able to shoot him a WhatsApp to get sort of clarification on stuff, especially with the SA Schools tournament more recently at was called Durbanville. So appreciate Jan as well. We'll move on to our first topic of this week, and the most important one of all: the Springbok women defeating Italy in their second fixture at the Women's World Cup, pretty much securing their path now to the quarterfinals. We'll pass it on to our resident Springbok women correspondent, Lisa B. What were your thoughts on the game? How happy were you this weekend?
How happy was I? I can't answer that question. I was in tears, to give you an idea at the end of the game. And I just, I couldn't stop thinking of all the history, all the women that have, and men and everyone, all the people that were involved to bring this team to where they are now. And I was excited. I was crying. Best rugby game in a very long time for me. Getting down to the actual game and not just my feelings. I thought, first of all, we all know that Italy are ranked quite a ways above us. They are also participants in the Women's Six Nations, so they have that experience and everything behind them of a yearly competition where it's really strength against strength on a national level. And for us to go out there with a game plan, which is very exciting, which I want to talk a little bit about, and also just with the consistency that we showed. I know we had some lapses in defense, but for a very long time, we played for 60 minutes and then kind of lost the plot. And for this team to have stuck it out for a full 80 minutes against a very determined Italy, I thought that was just a credit to them and a credit, like I said, to how much they have grown. I thought Swayze did a great job. I don't know if people probably noticed this, but Ruiz started at 15, which is Swayze has been moving her around all year between 9 and 10 and 15. This game she started on at 15 with Tose starting at 9 and a 6-2 split on the bench with 2 centers. So no replacement 9. And when I saw that, I had an inkling of what might happen. And it did indeed happen that in the second half, Ruiz moved up to number 9. And the Tose went off, of course. And then something very interesting by Randai Dolf, who usually plays 15 for the Springboks. At the day she plays 10. She doesn't really start that often on wing. So she then moved back and obviously opened up for for oh my goodness, name's gone out of my head right now. Sorry, guys. Mapupa to move over to the wing. And that really meant that we could bring on Nguevu and later on Eloise Webb and really push the Italians to the end of the second half and kind of keep that physicality going through the whole game. And yeah, I was just so proud of it, and it was such an interesting way also to use Ruiz when she was at 15 as actually almost like another 10. Especially, I'm sure everyone saw that scrum that resulted in Malinga's try. Just that move, I just thought it was such a great way of using our strengths, mitigating our weaknesses, and yeah, just fantastic.
Minkosi, were you as on the edge of your seat as much as I was for this game, considering that Italy were actually not in the lead for the entire game? What were your thoughts?
I actually was. Like, even when that drop goal, I remember when she was at a window up 10 with that drop goal, I was like, oh my God, oh my God. Yeah. Like, that was me basically. I was like a tip for that game. It was a very good game. I really enjoyed how, again, I think I'm also touch on Royce. I saw her as a first receiver. I sometimes saw her as like a fullback. Sometimes she was a scrum up. I feel like we have not found the best position for her, but I feel like scrum up is probably the best one since she is closer to the ball, like Sway said. But yeah, it was a really good game. And now that they won, now I'm kind of thinking that, okay, we can actually take on this World Cup.
Great stuff. Jean, back from your hiatus, your thoughts on the game, and any players from Italy stand out to you?
Yeah, so it was difficult watching the game in Mauritius, there with my no Euros.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, look, there's three things I want to touch on. The first one being, I cannot tell you guys how refreshing and touching it is to see how well the women Springboks have permeated the Springboks fan base. A large group of guys who was with me at Ellis Park, um, and I mean this is the traditional South African rugby crowd. It's men, um, very masculine, and the WhatsApps that were coming through was just full of emotion, full of support and appreciation for everything the girls have achieved on Sunday. And just in general, just seeing that outside in the world, how everyone speaks about it. So I really think that in that terms, this team is achieving something unique, and they're permeating the space, and I think it's wonderful for them. Um, it's hard to choose some good players from Italy. I think one. Swayze did a great job of putting a game plan together that was gonna put them. I don't want to say put them in a box, but keep them on the back foot. They struggled to really get into the game, and it was a feeling of, as much as Italy had moments, they never had control. There's a couple of jerseys I remember seeing a lot. The 11 from Italy, she made some spectacular tackles, and she certainly had her hands full with Dolph and Malinga. But I remember her being very busy. But yeah, it's just difficult, and then credit to Swice again. Pairing his very attacking mindset with the strengths we had prior to him coming in. Like we've always been good at scrums, as far as the women's Springboks go. But something I noticed was like on the back of the scrum. We would almost stack vertically. So it would be you'd have the scrum over here, the nine who'd be feeding and obviously receiving the ball, the 10 directly behind, and then behind Libby at 10, directly behind her, so in a vertical line was Rus. And I think, that it takes me back to like primary school days where we had these, if you've got a scrum sort of in the middle of the field, you would line up on both sides. And I don't think that's what Swice was going for. We still chose a side that we wanted to attack. But if we saw that cutting against the grain would be beneficial, that option was always there. So I think in that sense, Swice did a really good job of giving the girls a certain amount of confidence to say, we're going to play this way, but if we see that it's on, we know we've got another card to pull. And that really, as they say, if you're on attack, you want to make the defenders have to make choices. You want to slow them down by forcing them to think. So having that vertical stack, it's very similar to the move Ireland like to pull from when they're receiving a goal line dropout, where three or four forward players just line up very close behind each other, and you never know who's receiving the pass, and then you don't know who he's going to pop pass to once he makes contact. So very similar to that. Once you start stacking players vertically, it becomes very difficult for defenders to determine first of all, who's receiving, because from a frontal view, you're not sure if it's going front or back. And then also, even if you see now, okay, the person behind has received it, you don't know what they're suddenly doing. Your defensive pattern that you have in your head no longer matches the picture in front of you. So you have to start thinking very cleverly, and you have to start making some choices. So very well done there by Swice. Last thing I want to touch on is, please, for the love of God, when it's the final 3 minutes, play simple rugby. Do not kick, do not pass, do not try to score. We've had this with the Springboks in 2023. We don't need this type of cardiovascular stress again.
Can
Just
you tell
like,
that to Boland too, please?
just play slow rucks, guys. Just play slow rucks, grind it out, wait for the whistle to go and kick it out. Don't be trying to do silly things and then Libby is behind the poles and then we have a goal line dropout. Please, no. My heart is strong, but not that strong.
Excellent. Yeah, good point on the tactics here. It's definitely an evolution in terms of rugby, because you used to be able to just scrum off, throw the ball to the point of the arrow, but now that allows the opposition defense to really focus on that person. And you got to keep them guessing. Angus, going forward in the tournament, and your overall thoughts of the Springboks women's team. Do we have a shot? What's the best we can do in the next game? What type of team do you want to see? And what are your feelings after the first two matches?
Well, you guys basically said it all so far, but firstly, I want to say, Mohammed, is that I think the Springboks women's team finally found their identity. I think for a long time, they didn't know who they were and what they wanted to achieve and how they want to play. But under Swice and Akkers to an extent, and all the other management and coaches, they actually found a way that suits them, and they found their DNA and their identity in the same breath. So that's the one good thing that came out of this tournament, and even preceding that against the Black Ferns 15 in Canada and all the other games they played before. So far in this tournament, what I said now paid off. It definitely gave them a good boost playing against the Black Ferns 15. They lost the first one, but they got a convincing win in the second one, and taking that confidence into a World Cup is massive. I mean, if they lost both the games to Canada. If they lost all 4 games, all 4 big games, they would have came into this tournament being a bit maybe full of self-doubt, or are we good enough to be here? You beat any New Zealand team like the Black Ferns 15. I know it's their second string side, but the confidence you get from that is massive going into World Cup. And you can see it in these ladies' faces. They play with smiles on their faces. They play with a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of will. And my take from these two games, Brazil was excellent. That was almost a masterclass. And even Italy, there was never a moment in the Italy match as nerve-wracking as it was, even towards the end, where Italy almost scored due to our own mistake. Like Jean just said, we probably should have taken the points with that last scrum and not gone for the penalty or the quick one, but maybe taking the points or the shot at goal. I would have given us an 8-point margin, and I think they'll learn from that. Control the game better going forward against France in the next game. But I think the good thing is that they got the confidence and the belief to do what they need to do. I don't think Swiss will play the best team against France, knowing that they qualified, and he knows in all likelihood they will probably get beaten even if they play the first team. So I've got this funny feeling that Swiss might rest the best team, and I'm saying that in quotation marks because they're all amazing ladies. But I'm saying that the best team is going to face, or it's going to keep for the quarterfinals, be it New Zealand or Ireland. So irrespective of what happens next, it's not going to be a big thing regarding the outcome of the pool. But I'm not going to talk about much about the next game against France. I'm more going to focus on the game, be it Ireland or New Zealand. I think in that match, if we can frustrate them, I shouldn't say we're supposed to be impartial, but if the Springbok women can frustrate them, get under their skin, rush up on defense, make them make errors, force them into errors. We saw in the two New Zealand games, they've been quite erratic. They're not so much in sync with each other. They don't have that synergies too much that like they used to have. So I would say put them under pressure, force the knock-ons. We got a good scrub. Let Hele off the back, make a good carry, get over the advantage line, put them under pressure, force the penalties, and maybe, just maybe, we can see more history in the Park women going to a semi-final.
Well, we're looking forward to it. The match is on Sunday. It is the last match of round 3 of all the World Cup matches in the Women's World Cup. Sunday at 5:45. Do not miss it. Lisa B, you get the last word on the Springbok Women's before we move on.
Yeah, I'm also kind of all week I've been wondering if we had a choice, who would we want to play? The Black Ferns. As it looks at the moment, it looks probably like Ireland will be second. So if we finish top of our log, we would play against Ireland. But that would require beating France, of course. So I've been exactly thinking about that, Angus, all week long. Should we play to win France? Is it even possible to win France? And then, what would be more beneficial? Of course, Ireland is slightly lower ranked than the Black Ferns, but because we played the Black Ferns 15, we kind of have faced that style of rugby. And we know we won the second team or the first team, whatever you want to call it. But that would also maybe give us a bit of a boost against the Black Ferns. Not that I'm saying we will win against them, but at least, to have a proper go. So I've been mulling that over all week long. Luckily, I'm not the coach and I will not be taking these decisions. But yeah, really excited to see how that works out. Excited to see in the pool with USA and England and Australia, who's going to finish where. And it's just, I think from now on, it's going to be more and more exciting. And if people out there haven't been watching, please get on the hype train right now. It's really going to get exciting from here on out.
I think a big factor is also our sister podcast on this Global Game Lines YouTube channel. The Women's Treehouse podcast is doing really, really good. Not just because it's a Women's World Cup, but because it's weird. It's probably my favorite podcast on this YouTube channel, and I'm on 2 of them because also on the URC Rewind, which is also taking a hiatus. So yeah, please tune into that, the Interpro show, the Irish podcast, as well as the Mall City Journal. Jean, your thoughts on the Women's World Cup?
Yeah, just something I want to add quickly. And I'm going to take everyone back to 2017, 2018. There was a specific person sitting in the coach's box with our first win in New Zealand, as well as the draw a year later, right before the Rugby World Cup. And it's the same person who's currently the head coach of the women's Springboks. So the how can I say, the thing for me is, if Swiss can take a very pragmatic approach, right? And I get it, everyone likes to win beautifully, but if we can grind it and turn it into a competition of strength, not a competition of skill, and feed on their ego the way we did with them taking the quick line out and Vili scoring the try off of that. Similar sort of things of, they want to rely on their skills and we give them the opportunity, but then exploit that. Swiss is very good at setting that kind of thing up. So I think if we can balance the approach between being pragmatic, bringing them to our table, and then exploiting where they're overconfident, I think we could tip this in our favor. And I always choose hope. I always choose belief. So I think that's what will happen, because reckless hope is the only way to go through this thing.
Yeah, we're guaranteed two more games in this tournament. We're very much underdogs for both of them. I am glad to see that the overall rugby public, maybe some fringe nutters, are getting a bit too serious about it, but the overall rugby public, the people I've interacted with in person especially, are very much optimistic, and they understand that things things might not go our way, but the fact that we won the first two games, we basically like playing with house money. So let's just enjoy it, make the most of it, try to win, but also take many of the positives, because there are many positives out. Angus, can you give us a bit of insight into like the overall structure of the Springbok women's coaching staff? Because Sway's obviously coming through as an assistant coach under Ackerman at the Lions, giving sort of incredibly good insight on Supersport. He's got a very front-facing profile, but the backroom stuff that we've seen sort of hug and celebrate within the coaching box on both games, could you give us a bit more insight into them as well, please?
Yeah, look, Sway's, he's been amazing. He turned the culture around with the Springbok women. Like I said, they didn't have a DNA, now they do. I think that's much credit to him. But I think more importantly, we look at the overall game. But if you look at the forwards, the scrum, Lauren Johannes Haupt, she's been so amazing for them. And I think that her input into this team is something special. She's played there, she's coached at lower levels, she's in this position now, and she knows what it's all about. I mean, she's been through the heartache and the pain of losing all the games in a World Cup pool match. And for her, it's even a more special moment because she's now part of a group that is going to the quarterfinal for the first time. So I think her personal experience and her knowledge has been invaluable into this team as well.
Excellent. All right, we wish them well, and we will be tuning in on Sunday. Now we move swiftly on to the really big game on Saturday. There's also the big game on Sunday, but this is the big game on Saturday, and it's really early in the morning, but it does kick off at 9:05, so there is time to do the park run. If you do a sub 40-minute park run, you can still make the game. You don't have to choose between the two. Tembinkosi, how excited are you, scale of 1 to 10?
And 11. This has to be the biggest game of the year, not just for South Africa or New Zealand. I feel like the rugby calendar, this is the biggest game of the year. So I can't wait. It's going to be a match where we can actually, how can I say this, kind of gauge where. Well, I'm going to start with the All Blacks. We kind of can gauge where they are. If they win this match, then it's all sunshine and rainbows. But if they lose, then Scott Robertson, we have to question him whether he's going to keep his job, what's going on. And for South Africa, if we win, then it kind of justifies all the experimentations that we've been doing, all of that. it kind of said, then we kind of get that title of, yeah, we are the best team in the world. We just broke the record that everyone else couldn't break. So it is going to be an interesting game. I feel like it's the biggest game of the year.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. It's not that I devalue the rugby championship. I just see things in space of test rugby, and you want to win as many games as possible. However, I also understand and am calm about the idea of the fact that we're sort of working towards preparing multiple things, like building a bit more depth in case of injury, involving the game plan also in relation to preparing for a World Cup in Australia. Jean, your thoughts on Saturday morning's game?
Yeah, it's somewhere between nauseously confident and clenchingly um, clenchingly anxious. I would say is the scale. Um, I think with the way the All Blacks play, and there's certainly been shifts under Razor Robertson. They are they're still an 80-minute team. But I think they're much less of an 80-minute team than they were 5, 6 years ago. If we take a look at the 2019 semi-final, England were going pedal to the metal at minute 79 to ensure that they were in contention to kick them out, right? Whereas over the past few years, we've seen that sort of slightly regress. When you can't go and lie down, but there's certainly an element of you can put them away a bit. I think they also tend to start fast. What worries me from a Springbok perspective is they've got an excellent 10-15 channel, and they've got guys who can play fast, play wide. They're good with ball in hand. They're good with tactical attacking kicks, going over the top, going behind. Can we respond to that? Can we manipulate space? Can we respond to them trying to manipulate space? From the weather reports I've seen, it's going to be a wet one. So this will be very much more conservative. So I think probably 100 to start, and the team who can dominate the kicking, who can respond the best to the kicking and impose themselves through the boot the best, will be the team that reaps the rewards. But as Dembe Nkosi said, this is the match of the year. This is what everyone's been waiting for. This is as close as you can get to the stakes of a World Cup final. And no one's gonna judge us for losing or not breaking this record. But you only get so many shots at this record. We haven't played them there in forever. The last time we played them there, somebody touched Dan Carter and got a red card. So, let's. I, I just want the boys to make it count. Honestly, we don't get this. We don't get these shots often. So yeah, please let's just make it count.
Yeah. For anybody watching and or listening, he's talking about Bismarck du Plessis, and as a long time Shark supporter, obviously a big fan of Bismarck. I feel like we didn't quite get the best out of him. But yeah, that was I've watched that replay quite a bit. It just showed up on my YouTube feed for some reason with Bismarck flattening Dan Carter and the whole debate of was it a fair tackle and or wasn't it. But yeah, with the Springboks, with a team of breaking records, we're going to try and do a three-peat. No one's ever done that before. But before that, we're going to try and win at Eden Park. Angus, the game starts at 9:05. Does that mean you start the braai at 6?
Well, I would have loved to, but I'm on duty for Currie Cup the afternoon. I've actually got a second birthday party to go to. My godson to the spas the Monday. So I'll be working in Paul, my best friend's house, it's his son. But I'm definitely going to maybe, get a beer or two in before my shift starts later that afternoon. But to the more serious part, Mohammed, I think, to add what John said as well, you got one shot at this. And I think the most important thing to remember is that, this Springbok team has been dubbed the golden generation, and they need to live up to that hype. No one's going to judge us, like John said, if we lose this game. But records are meant to be broken. And I wrote about this past week as well. You probably saw it too. I mean, this Springbok team has all the credibility to do what is called an upset. At the end of the day, guys, it's 15 against 15. It's a patch of grass of 100 meters, and it's two teams battling it out for the best. Stadium's got a history, it's got an order and all that. But it doesn't matter on the day. I mean, we saw the Wallabies beat the Springboks for the first time in how many years? 63 years, 62 years. It didn't matter on the day because it was two teams battling it out against each other. And I also wanted to say that I think Razor's got more pressure on him than Rassie does. He has to defend the record. I mean, Razor's been dubbed as the messiah of New Zealand rugby when he took over from Fozzie. And his record has not been too great. He's suffered 2 losses against Argentina. He haven't beaten the Boks yet. He's been on a bit of a slope. So to him, if he loses this game, people are going to start questioning his coaching tactics as well. I mean, great Super Rugby coach. He won, 7 titles with the Crusaders? All good. International honors? Not so much. So if he's the coach that's going to lose this game, he's going to be remembered as the All Black coach that broke New Zealand's stronghold at a certain venue that's been a stronghold for them. So irrespective of the result, I think for the Boks, the pressure is more New Zealand than South Africa. Yes, we've got a lot at stake. We've got the Rugby Championship. We've got the Freedom Cup. We've got a record on the line. You've got Ari Sevilla playing his 100th, which generally is not a good omen for the team who the player is involved in. People tend to lose their 50th and 100th matches, but that's just omens. It's nothing big. But I do think that the Boks are quietly confident, and I think the All Blacks are a bit nervous. And also, I'm not sure Razor knows who's his best fly-off. Is it Bowden Barrett? Is it Damon McKenzie? I mean, Damon started most games last year, and we saw Bowden getting a bit of a run this year, but neither of them actually impressed. I mean, that's why they want Richie Mo'unga's back as soon as possible. And what does that tell you as a fly-half, as the two fly-halves, the main fly-halves in the group? What does it tell you if your coach wants a guy back from Japan who he thinks is better than you? Doesn't that play on your mind? You make one mistake in a game, you knock a ball or you make a bad pass or something, all of a sudden you might think you're fine, but I think subconsciously it will get into your head and you might just have a bad game afterwards. So I think the Boks have actually a very good chance, more than people may think, more than the bookmakers. They're not favorites now, the Boks this weekend. The All Blacks are the favorites according to the bookies, not by much. But I think that the Boks, they've got every opportunity to make history this weekend, and I got a very good feeling they will do it this weekend as well.
Yeah, and just something else. New Zealand are suffering at 9. They're really suffering at 9. So as far as I know, both their first choice 9s as well as second choice 9 is out. So it's really difficult. And as you're saying there, Angus, if you're stuck in a situation where you've been playing, and I feel for Damian McKenzie because I think he falls in the same sort of category as Mani Libbok. Like if he's on fire the day, he's on fire, and he's difficult to live with. But then Bowden Barrett is just such a class act. And I mean he ripped it up in 2015 and even in 2019 he was giving us nightmares. But as you're saying, you make one mistake, now suddenly there's calls for Mo'unga to come back, for someone else to come back. And I do think you're touching on a point there that perhaps the thing that might give us the biggest edge is going to be the cohesiveness of our team versus the cohesiveness of their team. We've been settled as a squad this year a lot more, even with the newbies coming in. And especially, I'll say this again, in terms of the younger guys at prop and hooker, there's a lot of maturity and a lot of cohesiveness there. And you can see that they're settled into that role that they have, where I don't think that's the case. I've been listening to some shows and some guys speaking, and it's very much a toss-up of they still trying to choose the 15 best players We've moved past that. We're trying to choose the 15 right players for the day. And I think that is going to be a crucial point of difference.
Lisa B, on to you.
Yeah, goodness, very interesting and very much as well what I've been thinking this last this last year. So to take you back to last year when they announced this game, I was of the opinion that if any Bok team were to actually accomplish it, it would be this team. I was riding high off all of the wins last year. In my opinion, it was one of the best Springbok years ever last year. Now that it's finally here, I think I'm very much with Jean about the nauseous optimism, knowing what's at stake, knowing everything that has built up to this stage. I think we are going to have to play a conservative game. As Jean said, it's going to be wet, but more than that, I think kind of forcing the Tony Ball or whatever you want to call it too much has gotten us into a lot of problems this year, and we need to kind of reestablish that base that we have. Of course, this means the All Blacks are going to know what's coming, but we can still, if we play conservatively, I think that it's going to be our best bet. And like you said, like everyone has said, they are not the most settled team at the moment. I I am still nervous about our 8 and our flank situation. I'm nervous about the lineouts. I think if we are to even think about winning this game, we are going to have to control our lineouts better, and sort that out, and also sort out the breakdown. It's been a lingering problem for at least the last, I would say, year and a half. But if we can do that, I am hopeful that we will indeed get the W.
Angus, can you give us a bit of insight? What exactly happened between Liam McDonald and Razor Robertson? Why did they not stick together?
Who's this now? Razor and?
Liam McDonald was his assistant for a bit, and then
Oh, yes, the blues
started his
guy.
tenure. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of contrasting between Swayze and Rassie as well. You know, Rassie wanted to play one way, Swayze had another way of thinking. It wasn't anything personal. It was more a case of, I mean, the Razors got this Crusaders mindset, which is very much to the box. You know, we power up in the forwards and we beat them in the backs. Whereas Leo McDonald, he was all blues type. We're going to play this game, we're going to run the ball all the time, not focus too much on forward dominance. And I mean, when the new coach took over at the Blues, he went to the Crusaders DNA, and then they actually won a Super Rugby title. So, yeah, I think it was more just a case of not aligning with the plan altogether. And I think as coaches, you do need that. You do need guys that's actually all on the same page. And I think not on a personal level, but I think more on a coaching level, they weren't on the same page. And it was just one of those things where it just didn't work out for them.
All right, excellent. We look forward to the game. Just a quick reminder, like, subscribe, click the notification bell. If you do not click the notification bell, I'm inclined to believe you are Aaron Smith. We move on to the results of the penultimate round of Currie Cup Premier Division, round 6, where first game we're going to be looking at on Friday, took place on Friday. Griquas went to Bloemfontein and convincingly beat the Cheetahs. We do not have any Cheetahs and or Griquas panelists on the panel, but we'll go to Jean. You were able to catch this in Mauritius, yes or no? With the Wi-Fi?
No, I was stuck at OR Tambo still on Friday. And I was actually at a team building on Friday. So while this was happening, I was busy shooting my colleagues with airsoft pallets and gel pallets as revenge for all the emails they sent me.
Yeah, that's excellent. But I was able to watch it, and Griquas once again really punching above their weight. We speak about him every week. Gershon Ware, and we highlighted him before the season as one to watch. A guy who came through from the Griffins, and now this is his first year in the Currie Cup Premier Division with the Griquas. He obviously did play SA Cup with Griquas. 2 tries again. We'll reiterate what we said previously. If he doesn't get a URC start somewhere, it's going to be a bit sketch. The Griquas captain, another solid game. A guy coming through from the Bulls youth system. Cameron Ofker played well. What was interesting about this game, though, is that Griquas dominated up until the 60th minute, and then a fight almost broke out, but then the Griquas player pulled his own player away, and then Dylan Mart, big guy, very fast, didn't score any tries. He then scored. Was it him or was it the other? Yeah, it was. Yeah, he sort of prevented a try with a tackle, prevented the Cheetahs player from scoring. But then instead of sort of celebrating with his teammates, he then got in the Cheetahs player's face. There was a bit of a scuffle. The referee, one of his Griquas players, then came to his rescue. The referee then gave that player a yellow card for interfering, that type of thing. So not very mature from Cameron Ofker. That basically brought the Cheetahs back in the game to an extent. They still lost by a large margin, but that gave them. There was actually a period of time where 3 Griquas players were yellow carded, and I don't believe the Cheetahs scored any points, or if they did score points, they scored very few points. Lisa B, your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, unfortunately, I only catch the first half. I also had a work thing after that. But I thought the Griquas were just amazing. You guys know I love them. And I'm all behind if there is such a prize, giving Weir the player of the tournament. He's been so good and consistently good. As you say, every week we talk about him, and it's not for nothing. And I wish I had seen the second half, because in the highlights I did see, in fact, the Griquas went down to 12 players for a while. I was wondering what would happen if they had another yellow card, if the game would have been gone on or not. But the thing that stood out to me is how Cheetahs really seem to have in this game lost that ability that they've been working on all season, that you could see, a more integrated kind of approach to their attack. They really seemed a bit flat-footed and not really knowing what to do, really. They didn't have a plan, and Griquas just took advantage of everything and just did what Griquas do. So great half of the game.
Yeah, shouts to John Kelly Okonkwo. Debut, UCT prop. This was his first game for the Cheetahs, and his first game of professional rugby. So that's 2 UCT players that the Cheetahs have recruited this season. Of course, talking about awards, we have to announce that Koen Jasper won the Hairstyle of the Week award, the prestigious award that we're doing here this season, for his very impressive mullet. So well done to him. Angus, your thoughts on Cheetahs falling short against Griquas at home, no less?
Yeah, look, Cheetahs had a tendency for the last couple of games where they tend to almost let other teams in, and we've seen it where, I think it was against the Lions, a game before that as well, where they had a good lead and then they tend to let it slip, and then they score a late try and then they end up winning the game. Unfortunately, this time for them, they basically started how they finished their second half of the previous week, and it actually bit them. It actually bit them quite hard. Griquas were quite clinical. Their forward dominance was amazing. I mentioned Dlamini, the captain, Kebo. He was amazing as well. And I think the cohesiveness of Griquas just came through again. I mean, both these teams played against each other in the SA Cup. They know what they're all about. And I mean, people forget that Griquas lost a lot of guys to other franchises. I mean, Soccer went to the Stormers, and there were a few guys that left after the season. Dylan Shobru went to the Lions. So it's not like they had the same team there during the SA Cup, and they still managed to deliver the goods, which is actually, it comes down to good coaching. So You would probably say Griquas are the favorites to get their fourth title after how many years? They only won three before. They won the first Currie Cup back in the day. But I mean, I think this is probably their best chance to make history and be the first team to win it in, I think, over 100 years, to be honest. So Griquas, they just know how to get the job done. And I mean, they are tough enough in Kimberley, but to do that in Bloemfontein, as they call it, the graveyard, I mean, that's something special, and that's a statement they made.
Nkosi, are you and I the only two people that wasn't on team building this weekend?
I was about to actually say I also didn't watch this game because I was at work at the event. So unfortunately, you're the only one. But no, yeah, this game was a good game. I actually didn't watch it, but from the highlights and partly of the second half that I saw, it seems like the Africans were kind of taking the opportunities what they had, and as usual, Gershon Way was phenomenal.
Excellent. Interesting, Ali. For years, I didn't know what the word Griqua meant, and I sort of did a bit of research, and it says the Griqua is a subgroup of mixed race, heterogeneous, formerly Ziki-speaking national nations in South Africa. So it's pretty cool to me that they named their team after that. Of course, our producer Lee would prefer they had named it after an animal because the podcast is called A Bit of an Animal, and that was his suggestion, and people could have voted on it. So if anybody has problems with the name of the podcast, you had the chance to vote. We move swiftly on to Thembinkosi's Lions, absolutely trouncing Jean's Bulls. So the guy, I know Thembinkosi just spoke now, but it's tradition that generally the person whose team won speaks first. So Thembinkosi, you must have had fun on Saturday.
I did. It was a good game. I don't think the Lions had a really great game. It was more of the Bulls were misfiring, and the Lions just took advantage of that. Like I saw so many times where it was like handling errors that the Bulls gave away. The Lions kicked territory, got closer to the half, and from there they executed. From the first, Chris Smith. I thought he was a bit slow for the Lions, especially in the first half. He seems like he wasn't connecting well with Horn and them, but he led the park really. I mean, he led the team really well, and I liked how you could see that once at first they were kicking for penalties. If they got a chance for the penalty, they kicked for goal. But once after they established that we are 7 points ahead, it seemed like they just reverted to let's go for line out and try to mold them and try to go for the goal. So I think it was a good game, but like I said, it was more of the Bulls were misfiring. And who's this guy again? Our wing was it 14 or 11? He was also just always in the right place at the right time, picking up the scrap that the Bulls were throwing. So I think, so yeah, basically that's my sum up of the game. I think it was a good game. Again, I'll keep reiterating that I feel like the Bulls were the one misfired and the Lions just took advantage of that. But it was nice to see both back in the game.
In all fairness to the Bulls, the Lions did, of the four URC franchises, the Lions did put out the closest to a full URC team. Whereas the Bulls, again, sort of mixed it up with the youth players. Again, very young hooker, but highly promising. Jean, your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, so managed to catch this one. I think Tembe Nkosi definitely hit a valid point there. And I was actually watching the highlights yesterday, and you could see that I don't think not only were the Bulls not firing, but they weren't a settled team. Like there was a lack of cohesiveness, a lack of effort. That first maul try by the Lions, plenty of guys were standing there watching the forward pack march, getting marched backwards and not joining in. And I mean, at that point, it's clear what the Lions are going for. I mean, you as a nine, you're standing there, you can jump in. So yeah, it was honestly a disappointing performance for me. Um, for my Bulls team. There wasn't a whole lot to pick out. And then discipline. Like I really feel discipline is becoming a problem for a lot of teams. I know Simpiwe Matanzima was the unfortunate victim. He lost the lottery there for successive penalties in the 22. Um, but Cornel Smith with that tackle, I mean, if that other player hadn't dipped, that would have been straight red. So, and that's just pressure. I mean, the Lions, as Demi Nkosi said, once they reached 7, 10 points up, they realized, listen, it's open season. So the Bulls were inviting that pressure. And I was trying to figure out the defensive pattern that the Bulls was going for because it's almost sort of like a midfield press that they were trying to do. But then if you're doing a midfield press, you have to do the press all the way. So they were pressing and then they stopped short of actual contact, and then the Lions could play around it. So it's almost like they're trying to do a midfield press, but they stop just short, and they don't actually commit. Um, so I'm not sure defensively because there were times where it almost worked and we started disrupting the Lions, but then on the next press we wouldn't commit enough to interfere again with the attack. So yeah, I think lack of cohesiveness, lack of a clear defensive strategy, and just yeah, the being under the pump the whole time. It's like we saw with Italy in the second test with the Springboks. It's like we saw with the Pumas beating the Bulls. If you don't get the ball, it's very difficult for you to play rugby. You are now in tackle practice. So and that's where you also need someone to sort of step up and say, listen, I'm going to get us a turnover in the next couple of phases, and once we have that turnover, we have to make that mean something. It means we need to start getting our scoreboard ticked over. What the Wallabies did at Ellis Park, you know, you ride the pressure until a certain point, and then you start making an impact on the scoreboard. So yeah, I think of all the losses the Bulls have incurred so far, this one I felt like was the one where the scoreboard could have reflected better.
It was a short trip to Johannesburg for you guys. Angus, were you excited to see Ashimpede play for the Lions, as well as are you surprised that the Bulls are not going to make the Currie Cup playoffs, considering how strong they started the season?
No, I'm very surprised actually. I did an article before the season as a preview, and I had the Bulls as competition winners, believe it or not. So quite disappointing from that point of view. I actually thought with the squad they had that they would actually at least be in the top four. Unfortunately, it wasn't the case, or it isn't the case. But also in context, they have a lot of injuries. They did a lot of rotation. They lost some guys to the URC squad during the season as well. So I think from a cohesive point of view, they weren't all there. Whereas the Lions, like you mentioned as well, that they've played basically throughout the season like a semi-URC team. In this game, they went full out or semi-full out, like 90% URC guys. So it was always going to be a tough ask for the Bulls to actually win this game, especially even if it's just up the road in Johannesburg. But it was always going to be tough for them. And I think that the Bulls, they probably have to do a lot of soul searching. I mean, they're probably going to play the URC squad this weekend. I saw Western Province named their team earlier today. It's like a URC team with a couple of Currie Cup guys that might be earmarked for the URC as well. So I think it was basically men against boys. And unfortunately, in that situation, there's only going to be one winner.
Thanks. Lisa B, technically, your first team, Boland, is owned by the same people who own the Bulls, and you are going to the playoffs. Does that make you happy or very happy?
It makes me incredibly happy. We're not really making things easy for ourselves. I would have been over the moon if we could possibly get a home playoff, but I think we've made that possibility very difficult for ourselves. So yeah, do you want to move on to the Sharks game? Because
on that note, nice transition there, Lisa B. So the Sharks hosted Boland Cavaliers. Boland Cavaliers very much on a tour of South Africa. It was not at Kings Park, Durban. It was actually at Pietermaritzburg. I previously intimated, because I got some inside info, that the tickets would be reasonable. And when I saw the prices, I was like, that's supposed to be reasonable? So, but I've never been to Pietermaritzburg. Maybe people are more loaded than I anticipated. Yeah, we won. Bit of a disjointed display. Started well, let Boland back in, and then needed a last-minute penalty kick from Sia Masuku, cult hero. Basically, helped us win the Challenge Cup. Led us to the Challenge Cup. He was in great form, not so great form last season, but yeah. We're not going to the playoffs, but Lisa B, your team is going to the playoffs. So, what positives have you taken from the defeat in Pietermaritzburg?
Oh, positives. So last week I said I hate winning with a penalty try. Remember against the Pumas, we got that late penalty try, which saw us getting the victory in Mbombela. And the reason I really hate penalty winning with any kind of penalty is because you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And as we saw in this past weekend's game, and as Jean said, why do you not, if you have had a game full of penalties and all sorts of mishaps, why do you have a scrum in the last, I think it was the last minute of the game? Why do you play the ball? Why don't you just keep it and kick it out? Can someone please tell me? That's what my mind has been doing since then. Positives, though, I have to say, Donovan Don, if it's not Weir for the Currie Cup, I don't know, player of the season, it has to be Donovan Don for me. That guy is just amazing. As soon as he has the ball, you know something is going to happen. So he did his best, but at the end, oh, and of course Tedder has been just standout, but really you can't play with that many mistakes. If you want to play Boland rugby or even Griqua or Stormers, you know, any of the let's call it Cape rugby, you cannot make mistakes like this. You have to be on point. You have to do the basics right. Otherwise it's going to be a mess. And it was extremely frustrating watching this game. But at least we have done enough over the season to hopefully go back, unless something strange happens with some games, because there is still a chance that we fall out, I think. So sad in the way that we lost, but at the end of the day, we didn't do enough to win the game. I don't necessarily think, apologies, Mohammed, that the Sharks played better than us, because I mean the penalty count for that game was quite terrible. But yeah, actually, Sharks 14 penalties, Boland 15. So there you go. I really wished we would have won.
I would tend to agree the Sharks didn't necessarily play that good, but we somehow scraped the victory. We're very much using this as now. I mean, it's been the case from the start of the Currie Cup, so it's very much using it now as Currie Cup preseason. In fact, to the extent that next week we're playing two games back to back, it would be sort of more the URC team playing Saracens before the actual game against the Pumas at Kings Park, and you can catch the Saracens game live and free on the Supersport YouTube page. So that's awesome. Jean, considering the Bulls so close ties to Boland, are you very much a Boland supporter now?
They're probably gonna be the team I support in the knockouts, because I do not think, despite Ackerman's intervention in the next round, it is probably going to be a little too late for a comeback there. So yeah, I might have to borrow Lisa B's team, and we'll just double up on in terms of analyzing Boland. But yeah, it's like I said, it's disappointed. As Angus said, we started the season really well, and I thought we were going to have a good solid run, and then we sort of just fell off the cliff there a little bit.
Angus, are you looking forward to hopefully a Boland quarterfinal, a semi-final and/or final in the Currie Cup at that stadium in Wellington that they packed to the rafters?
Yeah, very much so. I'm actually a bit disappointed that Western Province selected the team that they did. I mean, I'm a Province supporter, but and I hate to say this, but I actually want them to lose this weekend because I want to see Boland actually qualifying and get home semi-final as well. I mean, I was at the game against the Lions, and it was so amazing. I mean, the crowd, they are so invested in this team, and it's just special for them because, I mean, since 2016, they haven't had a team playing at top level, and now they do. And they come out to support, the team's delivering. And you know, this game against the Sharks, I'm not sure if you guys remember, it reminded me a lot of that Varsity Cup final in, I think it was 2014 and 2015, where Picker or the Eagles played against UCT, and all Johnny Veldhagen all he had to do was kick the ball out and won the final, and he went for a drop goal, and then he still went out to go score the winning try at the end, you know, which wasn't needed. They had the trophy in the bag. Same with the Lions last year in the Currie Cup final. So it's a game of small margins. But I would love to see Boland at least play home semi-final. So, sorry, my Province boys. I'm going to have to step back this time and maybe put on my Cavalier shirt this weekend.
I'm loving all the converts.
Speaking of Western Province, they hosted the Pumas at the DHL Cape Town Stadium, but unfortunately came unstuck because they mostly played sort of a mixed youth team. Angus, your thoughts on Western Province falling short once again, possibly going the whole season without a win?
Yeah, that's disappointing, Mohammed. But I mean, Dabo said in a week he's sorry to the supporters, he's sorry for the performances because it's on him. He made the decision, and it wasn't the plan for it to pan out this way. So, I think in the bigger picture, we got a lot of good guys through, like Ezekiel Ngubeni came through. We've got a guy like Saku. He didn't play this weekend, but a guy like Saku, he basically got a good run as well from Griquas, Riley Norton, Zach Bolton, former Springbok captains Paul de Villiers. They all played in that game. I think from that point of view, if they can be better going forward for the Stormers, that'll be good. But I think for a brand, I mean, the team that's won the most Currie Cups, it's not a good look, especially being last on the lock, and not possibly, they will definitely end there. Even if they beat Boland by 100 points, it doesn't matter. So it's disappointing, but I understand the context where Province is coming from. I just didn't think they're going to be this bad this season, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a mixed team. I've been impressed by Carl Smith. He's very young. Let's not rush him. I've seen some irrational complaints that Labib Levy is a bad coach, but like, what are you supposed to do with that team? I'm glad Dobson spoke up and said, look, we gave him sort of a losing hand and that type of thing. And it's a young coaching staff with Brock Harris. Devenacher is actually on the bench for next week's game, but I was told he was retired. But these guys come back because we saw Josh Strauss sort of kind of fit into a shirt last week for the Bulls as well, looking very much like a sausage. But yeah, look, Pumas senior team focused. Fantastic scrum off, and I'm not just saying that because he recently signed for the Sharks. This was going to be a straightforward game. And thus we move immediately over to the log. Tembinkosi, it looks like your Lions team is going to be the only URC franchise making the Currie Cup playoffs. What are your thoughts?
Clearly, someone has to represent the URC, so I'm glad that we get to be the ones to do that. But I'm not even sure if, I'm not saying that I don't want them to win the Currie Cup, but I think Boland just kind of stole my heart, and I'm kind of rooting for them to kind of finish strong. But the fact that the Lions are still here and they're the only URC team that is still in the in the top three, that's a very good sign. Even though I'm not sure how I feel about that because they mostly just played the URC team. So is it like Lions URC team is as good as, well, not as good, because currently they're below Boland. Is that what they're saying with this kind of competition? Is that what am I supposed to get from this? But besides that, I'm happy.
Yeah, win is a win. All the URC franchises have unique approaches to preparing for the URC. Is the Currie Cup in the off season? Yes or no? There is no off season. This is South African rugby. The Bulls sort of started strong, then played in the youth. We could talk about the fact that maybe the stomach bug might have hurt them in round 3. The Sharks and Western Province very much try to sort of use resources slightly different and expose younger players to the sort of higher level of the URC. We've seen guys like the Riley Norton, the SA captain, who usually starts at lock, play more blindside flank. So the Lions are very much in contention to actually get a home final and a home semi and a home final if they win the next game, and certain other results go in their favor. I'm particularly quite happy that 5 teams are in the mix for the playoffs. Unfortunately, Jean, the Bulls cannot make it because even if they win, get the whole 5 points, they're still going to be stuck at 15 points. So, unfortunately, Thembinkosi, Angus did just remind us the fact that you basically won the Currie Cup last year, but then when they threw the ball in at the line-out, you guys decided to maul for a penalty instead of just sort of like pass it and kick it out. I'm not sure what you think. I've been saying for a whole year, we didn't win the Currie Cup, you lost it, but it's kind of mean. So, Angus, your thoughts on the lock?
Look, like I said earlier, when I did my preview for the season, I didn't back Griquas, I didn't back Boland. I backed the Lions and the Bulls to be in the final. I didn't back the Cheetahs to be in the top 4. I backed the Pumas to be there. It's amazing for the competition to see these, and I'm going to say this in quotation marks, these minnow sides actually being on top of the game. And I mean, it shows how much the landscape actually changed in South African rugby regarding the Currie Cup. I mean, there was a time we played all 14 teams and you knew that the bottom 8 would be the Leopards and those guys, and the top 4 would probably Western Province, Bulls, Sharks, Lions. The odd chance of Griquas making it, Sharks definitely in the top 4, top 6, you know. So it's a beautiful thing in the sense of, you know, these guys are getting the exposure they do, and they are playing at a level that's not as good as it used to be. But in the same breath, it's amazing for those teams to actually showcase themselves. And I mean, these guys are playing more than just the Currie Cup trophy. Like you mentioned, Gershwin Way and all those guys. They're playing for USC contracts. So, I mean, you mentioned Ross Broder as well going to the Sharks. So, it's a pathway competition now. You look back at the old Vodacom Cup, it's basically replaced that, but it's still very exciting to watch. And looking at the log, I mean, apart from Western Province, I can't be disappointed. I mean, it's been exciting, it's been intriguing. People say the Currie Cup is dead, but still they're tuning to watch it. So, I mean, that says a lot in itself. So, it's a good top 4. I'm very happy for Boland. Like I said, I got a bit of a soft spot for them now as well. I mean, they are around the corner from me. That's a good, 20-minute drive from my house. So, it's a good team to watch. And I've really enjoyed them so far. So, yeah, it's just been amazing to see. And I think this lock is a good representation of how the season has gone. And it just shows how competitive the competition has been, even though the results of some teams haven't gone their way. I mean, the Sharks managed with 7 beat the Boland, who's currently 2nd. I mean, that's just the nature of the competition. So anything can happen on the day. No one saw the Griquas, not no one saw it, but no one saw the margin of Griquas and Cheetahs, for instance. And it's those sort of things that you would love to see in the game. You don't want to go and make your sporting picks or your betting picks of the weekend knowing who's going to win, or you would love to, but you would like to put the odd $100 on the outside chance guy, and he will surprise you and get you a good 700 Rand back, for instance, you know, for 7-1 odds. So it's been amazing, and it's been competitive. It's been exciting, like I said, and it's just been amazing for everyone to watch, to be honest.
Yeah. I think Boland replacing Griffins from last season. Griffins were very much the whooping boys. Although Gershwin shined in that team and then moved on. That made it somewhat more competitive than last season. Also, the format of the Currie Cup has obviously evolved over the last few years as we adjust to different needs of the South African rugby community, shifting from Super Rugby to URC and then finding a place for the Currie Cup. This sprint format of the Currie Cup is very exciting. You only play 7 games. Every game counts, that type of thing. There is some chatter of the fact that maybe non-URC franchises don't play that many games because they play SA Cup and then they play Currie Cup Premier Division and or First Division. Shout out to the Falco who won the First Division, the Falco or Griffins.
Griffins
Griffins won it. Griffins won it,
Griffins won
yeah.
it. We covered that on this podcast 4 weeks ago, and I can't remember. So I hope the Pumas also make it into the playoffs somehow. But the fact that only one I would have loved none of the UFC franchises to make it because my UFC franchise isn't making it. But that's complete bias. We're gonna move on swiftly to previewing the final round, round 7, and it starts in KZN. Go early if you're in KZN. Go early to Kings Park because you'll get a Sharks versus Saracens game as a warm up completely for free. And then at 7 o'clock, it's going to be Sharks versus Pumas. Be interesting to see which teams they put out. I think this is going to be Pumas win. Demikosi, who do you think is going to take this quickly?
I think the Pumas, to secure their spot more firmly, needs the win. So I'm gonna go with the Pumas.
Yeah. Lisa B, your thoughts?
Once again, it's going to really depend on the makeup of the Sharks team. We'll talk about VP a little bit later, but they have pretty much put out a URC team. So it'll be interesting to see whether the Sharks follow suit. Oh, but right, they can't put up a full team, you said, because they're going to play right before that. Okay, so in that case, let me change my answer to Pumas.
Jean, you think the Sharks going to win or the Pumas and their grizzled veterans are going to run over us?
Puma's gonna steamroll you.
Ah!
You guys wanted to play Harlequins as a warm-up. It does tell me something though, because I would have pictured a warm-up against the URC team, so why not invite Leinster, Munster, plenty of other choices. Inviting Saracens down, that tells me that perhaps the Shark coaches are eyeing maybe the Champions Cup, trying to hedge their bets for the Champions Cup. Getting used to that Euro competition, but it could just be a friendly. I don't read too much into my conspiracy theories.
Yeah, it's a bit weird because we are actually scheduled to play Saracens beyond this friendly game. We're scheduled to play them in a competitive game in the Champions Cup group stage. So it was interesting scheduling. Saracens are obviously stoked to come to Durban, who wouldn't be? But there's also an overlap in terms of ownership from people who own the Sharks and Saracens. So it's like a win-win for them. Angus, your prediction on this game?
Yeah, I spoke to Jimmy Stonehouse after the province match, and he told me, well, if the Cheetahs get 4 points this weekend, we need to get 5. So it's going to be a race between them for the 4th spot. I think, like you mentioned now, that the Sharks are playing Saracens. They're probably going to play the URC team in all likelihood. Well, probably definitely. So, like Jean said, they're going to actually smash the Sharks this weekend, and I hope they do. To be honest, I want them in the top 4. To be honest.
Yeah. I'm really stoked for the Pumas, having sort of in earlier stages in life lived in Mpumalanga for a bit. Technically, they should be my second team, but I'm really impressed with what Stonehouse has done long term. Similar to what Suzuki Griquas are doing, they didn't build a team overnight, and they're very resourceful in terms of sourcing players like the Cheetahs get from UCT and that type of thing. So good for them. The one weird aspect of the Currie Cup this season, well, at least two. One, Western Province didn't play a game at the community. They played all their games at DHL Newlands, DHL Cape Town Stadium. To the best of my knowledge, you can correct me on that. Angus, did they play any games at the smaller venue?
Not that I can think of, no. I think they played the Bulls, they played Pumas, they are playing Boland this weekend, all at DHL Stadium. So yeah, correct.
Yeah, so that's a bit. I would have thought they would take, because a lot of the other teams did that. Sharks did it twice. Mpumalanga Pumas took the game to the community as well. The Bulls took the game to the community, playing at high school. So I would have thought that Stormers, VP Stormers would at least play one game either at Athlone Stadium or City Park in Athlone. So somewhat disappointed. Also, when I looked at the schedule, being a Shark supporter who is based in the City of Cape Town municipality, I was hoping that the Sharks would either play Western Province or Boland, because that means I could have seen my team play live. So that's unfortunate. Hopefully next season's Currie Cup schedule will allow for that. just a reminder to everybody, the URC franchises don't have to qualify for the Currie Cup Premier Division, but the other franchises, the other 10 franchises, have to fight it out in the SA Cup to get into the Premier Division. So that means that 6 teams play in the Currie Cup First Division. All right. Predictions, Western Province, Boland, DHL, Cape Town Stadium. Lisa B, why are you covering your face?
I'm covering my face exactly because of the reason that I intimated earlier. VP have put out their team very confidently on a Wednesday morning. And there are some brilliant URC players in their team. They've got Ivan Ruiz, they've got I'm trying to remember everyone. It's basically a stacked team. And this is also for me kind of highlights I love the Currie Cup. I think it's worthwhile. I think there is a place for it in South African rugby. We need a strong Currie Cup. We have to balance everyone's interests, but at the end of the day, it does feel very unfair for the big franchises to just bring in their URC players at the end of the season and kind of, they don't care in a way about the other games. And now all of a sudden, just because they're going into the URC, that kind of derails Boland's plans, really. We did know that it was coming. I saw an interview with the coach that was done before the Currie Cup even started. So it's not like we were unaware of this, but our squad is smaller. Our players have been playing all out through, it's just 7 games, like you said, but for a small squad, it's an investment, and the players are tired. Luckily, this is just an hour down the road, so not a long travel. But it kind of feels unfair, I'm not gonna lie. So I don't have a lot of hope is what I'm getting to. The best I think I can hope for is to at least get the bonus point to still, be comfortable in the top 4. I was kind of playing with the idea of whether we might have a home semi-final. I don't think that's going to happen, but just being in the semi-final compared to what I thought at the beginning of the Currie Cup, where I was like, maybe we'll win 3 games, and here we are. So pluses and minuses, first year back, I can't complain. Really, it's been a wonderful Currie Cup for Boland.
Angus, will you be at the game, and who do you think is going to take this match?
No, I won't be there, unfortunately. I'm going to my godson's 2nd birthday party. I'm going to work at my friend's place, but I'm covering the match. To add what Lisa said, I wouldn't say disappointed in what Province did, but I understand what they are doing. But I feel for Boland. I honestly do, and I hope for all intents and purposes, if they don't win the game, at least score 4 tries and lose within 7 points to get 2 points on the lock and hopefully seal a semi-final. But to add to that, Boland have shown, and apart from the Sharks match, which they could have won, they can win away. It's not a thing for them. So even if they don't get on semi-final, maybe it's a blessing in disguise, guys. Maybe it's a good thing if they end 3rd or 4th and have to play away against the top or the 2nd team on the log, because then there's no home pressure of performing at home to win a semi-final. If you do it away, people tend to write you off and the pressure's off you. So it's not the worst thing in the world for Boland to maybe end 3rd or 4th in this Currie Cup. So, I'm going to back Province on this one. I haven't done it for the last 3-4 weeks. But looking at the team sheet, it's scary. But Province did the same thing last season against Griquas and they fell short as well. So it's not a given that they will win. But I think player for player, man to man, name for name, you on paper you got to back Western Province for this one. So I'm going to go for Province, but hope and get a couple of points out of this game.
Yeah, whatever happens, happens. If somehow Boland do get a home semi-final, myself, you, and Lisa B will be in attendance, I believe.
Oh, I hope so. It would be cool. Yeah. We can ask Lyndon for accreditation.
Jean, Western Province versus Boland. Who you got?
I'm going to go Boland. and I'm going to use Lisa's argument as to why Boland's been playing together for longer. The Western Problems, yeah, on paper they've got a DHL Stormers team. That's all good and well. But I think Boland have bonded. They've really found some courage. They had a lot of deep moments this year, and that strength and cohesiveness, I think, could be a decisive factor in this game. So where Western Problems are seeing this as a URC warm-up, for Boland Cavaliers, they're going to approach this pretty much the way the Springboks approach anything past the quarterfinal. 1 point win is a win. So, yeah, and honestly, if Boland Cavaliers win and Suzuki Griquas win and the Pumas do what they need to do, then we will all get our dream of having no URC teams present in the knockouts.
Now, I think we lost Thembinkosi. Thembinkosi, you still there?
No, I think he's dropped.
Okay, so this is actually the most competitive game of this week. It's both two teams in the playoffs. Lions will likely put out a really good team again, but I actually think Griquas will put up a fight. Angus, do you think this will be an arm wrestle?
No, it will be. We mentioned how Griquas put up a fight. And to reiterate John's point, like Griquas have been playing together all season long. The Lions, they've also had the majority of the URC team. But even if they put in more guys, I think in a sense of cohesiveness, maybe they won't be gelling as much. But I mean, altitude is a factor. I mean, also Kimberley's a bit higher up than other coastal teams, but still. But I would not be surprised if Griquas get to win with a bonus point, to be honest. So I'm actually edging towards Griquas. Maybe it's the heart talking, maybe not the head. I've got big love for the Lions too, but I love an underdog, so I'm going to go for the Kimberley side.
Lisa B, who's your money on?
Yeah, Griquas. I'm sorry, just the way they play together. I know the Lions have got some magic in there too, but Griquas all the way.
Jean?
Griquas. I need the Griquas to win so the Lions can fall out of contention for a knockout spot.
Yeah. My heart says Griquas. I really like their team. I like what they've done over these last few years, really, of losing players and then coming back and being smart about recruitment, and that backline of Hofka and Mart and Weir, inside center, Zulendaba, he's really good. He's from the Western Province system. I think URC teams should look at him as well. It's quite young. Outside center and Zane Bester has played quite well. Their forwards, they've got the distinction of having the most Gustavs in their team. I mean, if you don't win with that many Gustavs, when are you going to win? So yeah, Griquas, we're going to back you. You're making the short trip from Kimberley to Johannesburg. Hopefully you pull it off. You're probably definitely in the playoffs, but yeah, let's secure a home semi-final and a home final. Final match of the week. Cheetahs travel to Pretoria, take on the Bulls. Jean, it's your team. You're out of the playoffs. You're playing for pride now and preparing for the URC. What do you think is going to transpire in this game?
Yeah, I think it will be an unconvincing victory. And I don't mean that the Bulls won't look good. I just think the Cheetahs will have some fight in them. There's a long-standing rivalry between the Plaas Japies and the Stads Japies. So the City Boys and the Farm Boys will duke it out. But I think I've got money on the Bulls getting a redemption victory. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's not a 9 out of 10 performance, even with Ackerman there, and perhaps a quasi URC team a la Western Problems and other teams. I really think that it's going to be a disjointed performance. I think they'll get it over the line, but it's not going to convince anyone.
Lisa B, your thoughts on the game between the Boland owners' favorite second team and the Cheetahs?
This is a toss-up for me, hey. It's very much 50-50. Cheetahs can do it. They have shown that they can do it. Bulls, I just wonder if pride will be enough to actually get them over the line, because there's literally not a lot else that they're playing for. So just purely because of the motivation, I'm gonna go with Cheetahs.
All right. Angus, you get the last word on this one?
I'm going to back the Bulls on this one, Mohammed. Ackerman said, I think it was yesterday in the press conference, that he hinted that we'll play some URC guys. He said something interesting, actually. He said, our best team is the one in red, which means the injured guys. And he mentioned a lot of Springbok. So, I mean, I mentioned the injuries before early in this podcast, but I'm still going to back the Bulls on this one. The Cheetahs, I mentioned this earlier as well, they tend to fall off the rails in the last 20, 30 minutes. And they haven't been good in the Greek game. But they'll put up a fight. But like John said, the Bulls will win, but it won't be convincing. It'll be like a bit of a moral victory, and I think the Bulls might keep the Cheetahs out of the Currie Cup, and Pumas will win, and then the top four will be those guys.
Yeah, that doesn't bode well for the Cheetahs' very public ambitions to be put back into Super Rugby and or somehow make it into the URC when that gets reshuffled, if and when the Welsh teams sort of either reduce their teams and move over to the English Prem, or stick around and there's some space for them. The last key aspect of this week, it's been long anticipated. So South Africa have become the sixth shareholder within the URC system. Jean, your thoughts on this? Is this going to help the Bulls get even better players? Although you did just lose Mervyn Ori to the Sharks.
Yeah, you and me will sort that out behind the sheds now. No, just kidding. Yeah, look, I think this could, if we utilize this right, it could be a big turning point for South African rugby, because our biggest restriction right now is funding. And I'm going to take a simple example. If you take a look at Leinster's coaching lineup, you have got a literal world-class coaching lineup. It's Leo Cullen, it's Jacques Nienaber, it's guys with plenty of international experience, guys who have played in test matches in Champions Cup finals, etc. Our biggest hamstring right now as South African franchises are the fact that we can't grow our coaching tickets. Imagine getting a guy like Willie Leroux to be your backline coach at the Bulls. That's a cheat code. You've got South Africa's best, probably best attacking player, teaching guys from academy age how to spot space, how to identify space, how to run into space, how to put your 13 and your 14 in space so they're doing a 2-on-1. So I think the fact that we are now URC partners, that they will be handling flights, that they will be handling accommodation, and that we start earning revenue from the competition is going to be huge if we don't look at it as a big cash out. If we look at it as the opportunity to invest into coaching and bigger squads, we might actually have a decent chance of competing at both URC and Champions Challenge Cup level, because you need big pools for this. Between the coaching tickets and the size of our franchises, that's what's keeping us from actually being competitive at the three competitions we have the opportunity to play in. And I do believe we can go the distance. It's going to require sacrifice and dedication. But I would love for one of the South African franchises to lift the Champions Cup. The French will riot. They will really, really riot, and the Eiffel Tower will be set on fire. But it will be a victory for us.
Ron, I could not agree more. Well said. Angus, what do you think the ripple effect of this will be on the South African rugby landscape?
Well, John just said it all now, to be honest. So I can't say much. But yeah, I think finances in sport is a major thing. He mentioned Leinster now. I mean, they got the budget, the best of the Irish teams. I think South African rugby in general, I think the one point we probably fall short is, I mean, our currency is not great. We lose players overseas to all these European clubs that pay them a lot more. But if, like John said, we can invest in coaches, we can bring players back, which is a point Jake used to reiterate a lot in his press conferences before when he was at the Bulls. And you can, pay these guys that they want to be paid, or at least get close to that, and they can be at home. You get a much stronger URC team for the Bulls, Sharks, Lions, Stormers, and that made the competition better in itself. But also, I think it's just nice to actually finally be a part of it. It helps a lot, especially, playing in the Champions Cup. John also touched on this point. You can broaden your squad. You can play. You can be competitive in both competitions, and I think that's important as a whole. Because we've had this scrutiny on our side that we focus on URC, we qualify for the Champions Cup, making top 8, and then we play the Champions Cup and play second teams like we do in the Currie Cup now. So if we can actually stand up in both competitions due to this partnership, it'll be awesome.
Yeah, we've seen teams like Toulouse, Bordeaux sort of have a little more depth and a little more like focus. Although in the French league, teams tend to also play their second, quote unquote, second team in their away games, and they bank on winning every, if not all, home game, and sort of like maybe sort of sneaking in an away game here and there. I would also hope that it would have a sort of more positive effect on the non-URC franchises in terms of not just revenue, but in terms of expertise and SARU's ability to assist them to grow their game even further, because we're seeing well-run non-URC franchise teams like Cheetahs, Pumas, Griquas, Boland doing quite well. I'd like to see there be a bit more assistance in terms of administration, maybe also for teams like the Leopards, the EP Kings, so on and so forth. Lisa B, your thoughts on the revenue agreement?
Yeah, I very much agree with you. Obviously, I've talked a little bit about how I think there is an opportunity for the bigger franchises to actually use the smaller unions in their geographic area to build a bigger squad. And that is, like everyone was saying, to really be competitive in the European Cup as well as in the URC. You need that squad and a good coach. So yes, I would like to see, if I were in charge of the money, I would like to see it trickling down to the well-run other small unions, giving them more opportunities. And of course, I'm going to keep banging my drum. Why is there only one pro women's team in the country? Why cannot the other URC teams find the money to pay women for doing the exact same thing as the men? Of course, we can talk about the pro contracts from SARU, which is also going to help, and the hopefully soon to be announced new provincial league, women's league. But yeah, put some of that money into the women's game. Stormers, you can let your cheerleaders go. No one really watches them. Let more people watch Vietnam playing.
Excellent point.
Lisa's house
Yeah.
is going to be attacked by cheerleaders for the next 2 weeks. I just want to point that out.
It's fine. I'm ready. Bring on the pom-poms.
Well, if our house is going to be attacked by cheerleaders, we're just going to give them my address and say she lives there. It'll work out in my favor.
Good for you.
Guys, fantastic episode. Unfortunately, Tim Nkosi dropped out. I hope he's okay. We'll catch up. I'll give him a call immediately after this. Yeah, from myself and the panel, thanks to Angus for joining us, special guest. So that's awesome. Tim Nkosi just messaged. Oh, his Wi-Fi is acting up. Oh, okay. It happens to us all. Okay, if you got to the end of the podcast, comment down below. And until next week, in Rassi, we trust.
Thank you for listening to A Bit of an Animal. Please like, rate and subscribe wherever you see us, and join us again next week for more of the same. Until then, enjoy your rugby.
podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.